It's a brutal sport. The sweet science of boxing has been known to have dementia pugilistica, which, boxer's brain, punch drunk. Uh,
Yeah.
th- those those terms existed before football thought they had a problem.
But we're
Uh,
talking about acceleration, deceleration,
yeah,
injuries to the brain. And like with football, these boxers later on in life, they get CTE. What is CTE? And then why do a lot of these, I just know Junior Sau for throwing one out there. Why do they kill themselves? Like what does CTE do to them?
well, as you see what you have been in the rearview mirror, and you see what you are in the mirror, and you see where you're going in your mind's eye, there are some people that just don't want to get there. It's always your choice. It's not a easy choice. It shouldn't be a first choice by any means, but it's everybody's choice as to when they want to end their trip.
Right.
And um, it doesn't have to be CTE. You 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 you've seen people with Parkinson's. They have the tremor and the shuffle and all of that.
Right.
Well, that's not quite as bad as some of the other dementias, which can have you progressing with your tremor and frozen postures and getting worse and hallucinating and having delusions. And then you get better, and then you get bad again, and then you get better again, and then you get bad again. And you can see it's getting worse. And Robin Williams ended up doing himself in, uh, and it wasn't Parkinson's. It wasn't a simple movement disorder. There was psychosis added on top of it. If you realize, gee, I was a pro player. I did have my head hit quite often. I remember seeing stars and having my bell rung and kind of wondering what day it was and where I was and what was up, and but I'm no longer playing. But now I've got memory problems and my mood's not so good. Level one, there's four levels of severity, and the severity on CTE starts with really, really minor things. And you could think, well, this is just me getting old. Yeah, you get old, your memory gets a little fritzy, and you get old and grumpy. Get off my lawn, but it gets worse than that. And as people's ability to regulate themselves and their ability to perceive accurately and their social skill set, if you can't react and relate to your your friends and family anymore, there's a point at which you're just it's too much, and you realize it's going to be worse and worse and worse, and the images of it are absolutely uh, uh, mind blowing. Um,
Yeah, what are the when your brain is while you're looking that up, Jay, when your brain's sloshing around in there, you have chemical changes going on, right?
oh
That
yeah, yeah,
lead
yeah,
to and the brain turns like icky brown and all that.
yeah. There's tau, which is a protein, and it's associated with dementias as well. But they can differentiate slightly the dementia tau from CTE related tau foldings, and the structural uh, degradation. This is level one, and you might see a little brown dot there, and this isn't a very dramatic change. Level two, you can see a little bit more of the dark changes here, and these are perivascular. Peri meaning like above or adjacent to, and so that the the plaques and tangles of Alzheimer's are not in the same. They don't attack the same situation, not the same locations. Level 3, by this time, you're pretty well demented. You're not intact functionally. The temporal lobes are starting to degrade rather badly. And by the time you're at level 4, uh, you're really non-functional. Uh, the your cognitive function, your ability to remember, your ability to predict, your ability to understand, um, and about the time people talk to you and you can't really understand what they're saying, you've got more going on in your head than is coming in. This is so non-functional that this is a distinct endpoint, and they may simply die of the CTE. Not everybody kills themselves with CTE, and that they degrade, and your brain has to regulate and function. And at some point, when they do pass, now you can take their brain to the Boston Brain Bank and actually have the CTE diagnosed. CTE is not you can't diagnose CTE by looking in your eyes, or looking down your throat with a scope, or looking in your ears, or asking questions. You can make a pretty good guess. Yeah, you had history of chronic traumatic circumstance, and you're degrading your function. You can make a pretty good educated guess that it's probably what it is, but you don't know until you actually do the autopsy. And it's not a quick answer. Right. They don't just take a piece and look. It's about a 9-month to 12-month assessment from the time the body is donated to the time you get your solid answer.
Jay, and, for the newbies that don't know what they're looking at, it looks like the brain, it's starting with the bottom, and then it works its way down. What is the bottom? Like, where's the front of the head, the back of the head?
You have some frontal and temporal changes. The temporal lobe seems to suffer particularly badly. By stage 3, the temporal lobes are degrading, and temporal lobes. Oh, what's the big deal? It's just something on the side. I mean, why would that be important? Comprehension, memory, disturbances in the temporal lobe can give you false emotion, pseudobulbar affect, where the emotion isn't really a real emotion; it's a false emotion. You can have the term fit used to be associated with seizures, but the term fit is used for a fit of rage, a fit of laughter, emotions that are not in your control. In fact, the laughter isn't even funny to somebody who has a gelastic seizure, and it's a form of epilepsy that you're uncontrolled laughter. And the same pseudobulbar affect can happen with CTE, with temporal lobe changes. Very similar behaviors to behaviors that are involuntary from seizure activity. And seizures are not uncommon in people that have CTE. End stage. I mean, by the time your brain is degraded into, essentially almost a scabby mass, you end up having a dramatic dysfunction. That you can't think straight. You can't remember where you are. Like Alzheimer's, people who go for a drive and they end up in another state, not knowing where they are or how to get back to where they thought they wanted to head.